Welcome to where we used to live. For most of the time that humans have walked this earth, they've lived in places like this. Thousands of years ago, civilization took root in the fields and the forests, close to the food that keeps us alive. Almost all the people that have ever lived have lived in what we call the countryside. But that is changing. At this very moment, we are in the middle of the greatest shift in how and where people live, ever. Humanity is moving to the city. In 1950, just 30% of the world's population lived in cities. Today, it's 54%. But by the year 2050, when there will be 9 billion people on the planet, 70% will live in cities. What will that future urban world look like? Not necessarily like this. Most of the growth is in the poorest places on the planet. Nearly 30% in Africa, 20% in India. The growth will be so fast, we'll be building the equivalent of a new city of 1.4 million people every week just to keep up. There's the challenge. Growing large, healthy cities requires a delicate dance between government and business and other parts of civil society. If the balance is off, the results can be disastrous. Poor use of space and lack of public transportation leads to congestion, sprawl, and wasted energy. Poverty breeds social unrest and extremism. But if that delicate dance between governance and growth is managed properly, the benefits can be extraordinary. Compared to sprawling cities, people in compact cities produce only a third of the greenhouse gas emissions that cause global warming. Urban trees and roof gardens keep cities cool. Residents ride bikes rather than drive to work, which keeps both them and the environment healthier. No single model of urbanization will be followed everywhere. But as our city population growth approaches 6.3 billion by 2050, different categories will be apparent. Underprivileged, crowded cities will have massive populations, unreliable electricity, and be prone to discontent, much like today's Karachi, Manila, or Lagos. Sprawling metropolises like Los Angeles, Houston, Rio de Janeiro will emerge with dense downtowns, mind-numbing traffic, and miles upon miles of big, inefficient suburban homes. We'll see urban powerhouses solidify their place as centres of finance and international business, often on islands like New York or Hong Kong or Singapore. These centres manage their growth well, with good public transportation, livable, high-density residential space, and economic opportunity. And we'll continue to see prosperous communities with a smaller size than the powerhouses and often considered very livable. They have highly developed, specialized economies, wealthy residents, and often a few large companies creating most of the jobs. Historians will one day look back at the period from 1950 to 2050 as the century of the city when most of the world urbanized. The choices we make today will shape the pattern of that development and affect the quality of life for billions of people around the world for hundreds of years to come.